threat in those dive compositions. Poppy, Orianna, Azir, pretty standard fare in terms of bans overall. Need to see what both sides are cooking. The other player I have my eye on the opposite side for AL is Kael. This guy is so good. I obviously had a super huge montage game in the first match, but just continued to look incredibly impressive in the second.
Yeah, it's funny because everyone is flaming Jarvan for the bad win rate, but Kaisa also has a really bad win rate at the tournament so far, and people kind of love to jump on those trends, even if they aren't necessarily the champion's fault. Again, sometimes it's the team's fault, but here we go. Rest with the driver hover of the Sion, and again, talking to Vestian, one of the PCS casters, shout out to him, by the way. He was talking a lot about how Rest and Driver have made those efforts to really converge and cover their champion pool issues so that people can't really take advantage of them as much in Fearless mode. But just a shout out there, not the lock-in, and they're going to go for the team fight for the Wukong here. JunJia still is just so critical for this team. And Wukong, such a big one for them.
Yeah, Wukong looking super solid in our first series of the day. Now we have the immediate Neeko Yunara response. Yunara, I think the creme de la creme of scaling AD carries in the current meta. Obviously the ultimate, the ability to get that dash just makes her so much safer than a lot of the other picks. And Neeko, while we didn't get to see those hype engages in our first series, I imagine Kael will be looking to replicate that first game performance.
Yeah, let's see if they can accomplish that. How do you feel about Yunara now? Because I feel like this champ is still incredibly powerful, even after the nerfs, and people have been able to build around it so successfully, and opens up so much room for some of these like scaling fights later, especially into shorter range clumped up comps. I think Yunara with a Neeko does a really good job of creating like quite a strong lane, especially from their level 1, but we'll see if that does prompt a lane swap. You know, whenever you're talking about strong level 1 lanes, then maybe you get swapped around on.
And I think it really does. This is something that AO, I imagine, will be able to do well, but it kind of goes back to what we saw in our first series, which is, I think, the ability to play drawn-out team fights. Knowing when to leverage those important cooldowns is crucial, and Yunara is a champion who absolutely, similar to Zeri, is ult-reliant, wants access to that ultimate. So the patience, knowing when to use it, the setup from your teammates coming through is crucial. But speaking of setup, we've got the Aurora, we've got the Corki, who is this very stable champion for Doggo. Not the flashy pick like the Draven, but a champ that we know just usually wins out in most lane matchups, is technically a flex, although I do imagine we will see it in his hands.
And again, is a popular pick when you're facing, hard engage and Neekos. We saw in the previous game, Neeko, or previous series, the first game of that series, Neeko was unable to ever catch the Corki. And so Doggo gonna have that dash. That is always so nice. So we'll see about it, because HongQ and JunJia being on an Aurora Wukong combo is also deadly from them. Really good dive opportunity, really good flank opportunity. Wukong is one of the favorite champions for a lot of junglers to play into Yunara, funnily enough, because it does have a good time getting on her and sticking on her. But let's catch up here. They're trying to whittle down on the support pairings with that Corki, taking away some of the hard engage. Kaiwing is a hard engage guy. All right,
he is hard engage guy.
He is definitely not looking for.
The advancement this year was that he started to pick up more ranged champions. And it was a bit feast or famine domestically, right? But we did see some good Bard games. We've seen some solid Karma games. So, but at the end of the day, we know his bread and butter.
I want to see that guy on some Nautilus.
Me personally, I'm glad to give him credit for branching out, but I know what I want to see.
Yeah, all right. So Xin is banned on the other side as well, trying to take away some of the premier opposing jungles to the Wukong. See if they actually care about the Jarvan themselves. I think most people I feel it deserves bans anymore. I still think it's good.
After the last series, I'm done. I'm over it. I believe you.
I think it's fine.
I don't particularly want to see it.
Okay, fair enough.
Taking their time, of course, still have a top laner to lock in as well.
So I think we're getting another bug. The Trundle ban, it's a Trundle ban, I've been informed, is not showing up. So
that blue square is a Trundle ban, just for anyone watching at home.
Yeah, so they indeed do not care about the Jarvan themselves either. And doesn't look like AL are concerned with it.
Okay.
Well, Maokai with the Ryze. Interesting. Okay, well, you know, there is going to be some decent Merc Tread value on CFO. Merc Treads are going to definitely be a good buy for them, but we'll see.
The one good piece of news is that Wukong obviously usually just goes for the Triforce, so you're not getting as punished as you would against a Sundered Sky Jungler for having double AP there. But still a tricky one. And
like the Bloodletter's Curse is a really good, you know, item for AP heavy teams, obviously, and a lot of Maokai players do build into that. You can go the Leandries plus Bloodletters build, then you shred. Your saplings are going to shred as well for the Ryze, for the Neeko and stuff. But it is a lot of you know, Merc Tread value for the CFO squad, and they go and they lock in the Sion here, the massive front line. You know, that can be the huge engage and also can just be a huge blocker to Neeko and Maokai. You always want someone who can like mark a Neeko and block a Maokai ultimate.
That's a Nami.
Okay, so we do get the Kaiwing Nami. That was also
the difference in our excitement was very tangible there, Kobe.
That was also one that they added to his repertoire.
Yes. It looked good. He had a great game at MSI.
Yeah. And so the Nami ultimate here as well, also good peeling. Kled as well, though, follows it up. Flandre locking the Kled. There you go. There's some more AD threat.
These are wild compositions to wrap your head around, but 1-3-1 certainly stronger for AL. We can see how powerful they could be on the sideline with the Kled, but we have so much beefy front line on both sides. The Tidal Wave, the Maokai ultimate, both tools for disengage. I think this is going to be a masterclass in team fighting.
Dude, also, this engage is so good. You have Kled to empower Neeko engages. You have Ryze Realm Warp possibilities. You can Realm Warp the Neeko in. Maokai ultimate plus Kled ultimate. Lots of avenues to apply pressure.
And I like the spice we're seeing. This is game one.
Yeah.
They're already cooking. They're already showing us some new stuff. Although Rest on Sion naturally will be feeling a little bit more pressure because his substitute, his comrade in top lane, will be watching backstage, I'm sure. Has trained him, has prepped him for this moment, but that's a lot of pressure.
It certainly is. Sion going to play a big role in standing in front of that engage. You block Kled, you block Maokai. Sion wants to be a brick wall.
And yeah, patience on these cooldowns, effective use of these ultimates is going to be key. I think especially for the side of CFO, they don't have that scaling hyper carry option. They have a ton of bursts. Champions are going to use those Triforce as well, but the later the game goes, the scarier that Yunara gets. As we get into this one, CFO versus Anyone's Legend to see who will be the second team to move on to the quarterfinals. CFO just continue, again, to surprise. 2015, the last time we saw someone from the then LMS, now LCP region, move on to quarters. AL going to look to shut it down here.
I see a lane swap ward, Drakos. I see a lane swap ward up there. Rest was able to put that lane swap ward up on top side in the side brush, and the Sion has moved into position.
Wanting to stay away from that Neeko. I think interesting choice here. Obviously, you expect Rest to lose out pretty hard to Flandre early on, but normally when you have Corki alongside a ranged champion, the Phosphorus Braum, though it has been nerfed in recent patches, usually gives you a lot of control.
Doggo did pretty well in the 1v1 last time around.
Yeah, that's
just
fair.
saying.
That's fair. Wait, do they have 3 top laners? Do they actually have 2 different AD carries?
Exactly.
Which one of them will be going bot with Kaiwing?
They've got Doggo for the ranged champ top laners as well. Draven last time around was very successful into the Rek'Sai. We'll see about the Corki into the Kled. And having Nami as your support for your sustain down here for a Sion is actually really nice. Sustain plus Sion as a duo, not too shabby. And Doggo here trying to push Broken Blade, or excuse me. I see a Kled.
Okay, I see a Kled. It's of course. Look, I'm just glad it wasn't me. I think you'll get the pass for forgiveness. I don't know if I would have. An honest oopsie. Broken Blade, obviously a big enthusiast in counterpicking with this champion.
Flandre though pushed under tower. You know, he's been accustomed to it though.
Yeah. Stranger losing out there. Just holding on is the name of the game. Honestly, for both of the lanes that have been swapped around. Now Kaiwing doing what he can with the ebb and flow. Nami, of course, high mana costs, but really powerful abilities in the early stages of the game. The W especially. That's had good lane control so far. And Shanks and HongQ just trading blows. It's level 3. Good response back.
I actually want to talk about a general philosophy, because since you cannot stop pro players from swapping ever.
Yep.
Like, no matter, I don't care what your rules are going to be, they're going to swap around. Is it a bad thing if we just return to everybody? We're going to have some action.
Hold on. Kael, we're having a conversation, bro. HongQ. Ooh, the slow.
So is it a bad thing if we return to a state of League of Legends where it's less important to have a main role and you should just know how to play League of Legends anywhere?
I would love that. That said, I got players in my region struggling to play the one role. I don't think we need them trying to play 5, Kobe, so maybe one step at a time for the rest of us.
Fair enough, but you know, hear me out. Back in the way old days, in the before times, when League first came out, we literally didn't have role selection, you know, and people just had to play wherever you got.
Yeah.
And so now with all these lane swaps, well, we're going to get another game.
Tarzan on the way down. Twisted advance should be pretty easy here. Q backwards, some additional damage onto Rest. Is forced to flash. Hope the extra damage. Nice backstep from Rest.
Okay.
Anything else, but it's a flash for flash trade. JunJia on the top side. Flandre ready to remount. They have to be careful about not letting him stack that courage. Flandre now running the shotgun blast back. He remounts. That's why you gotta be careful.
Click on that Kled. I want to see how much real HP that sucker had. That is so insanely close, playing on the edge. Kled's players always have to play as close to the edge as possible, but he remounts just barely.
The shotgun blast back. I think they thought he didn't have it, but gets him just out of range. Allows him to stack up that courage. Carl coming back in the nick of time. 33 HP. 33 HP.
So anyways, back to if you kind of just use Doggo, if AD carries are expected to be able to lane as solo laners, right? Which you are now, and you're just supposed to use AD carry champs, range champs, should everybody just not be prepared to play any lane, any number of champions around at any time? Here's another look at attempting to dive the Kled well dismounted though, and you're always trying to watch out for the remount, but he flashes away. I see shotgun. 39, 33.
Oh! It's just the Valk animation. If Doggo, I think, walks forward there and just autos, but then if he doesn't Valk forward, Flandre can backstep. That is the difference of like animation frames in terms of that kill actually coming through.
So close.
And I gotta say, while 80 carries are looking good on the top side, I do wonder if people who played against Kled more would have been able to pull off. They would have had the perfect courage calculations.
Perfect courage calculations. It's definitely a skill you need in League of Legends.
League of Legends. And in life. Well, it really has you saying a lot of weird stuff when you get into abilities.
All right, well, we have returned to normalcy, so we will postpone our
300 gold lead for Rest, and only 100 gold lead for Hope, and experience pretty close on the top side, and Doggo with an experience lead as well. So again, CFO initiating the lane swap, less dramatically one-sided than it was the previous time, but still working out very well for them.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we are going to get Maokai pressure on bottom side. So everybody still has flashes, should be fine, but Tarzan's got some time to work with, so.
Kaiwing, very close to the ball there, immediately going to get knocked back with the arcane smash and just deleted.
Maybe should not be fine. It's just flash in from Maokai. You're not going to do anything because the Fog of War, he just got an instant flash W root and insta-kill onto Kaiwing. Really nicely done from Tarzan here. This guy can play any champion in the book. This time around, it's Maokai. Point and click with the flash. Gets the kill, immediately gets the objective. And as I said up before this, he had the full time because all his camps are cleared. So this is as efficient as you get. He spends that time immediately getting a successful gank, successful objective, and can just go back as the camps are respawning to keep up with perfect clear speed.
It's going to be good. Also accelerating him to that Bloodletters too, just to make sure that any bit of MR that comes through is shredded, whether it's the damage from Kael or Shanks. And it's a nice start, right? They took away the Pantheon. They took away so many of the early, reliable ganking junglers. But point-and-click CC is point-and-click CC. That twisted advance paying off. And Kaiwing, while we like to see him branching out, this is one of the downsides of these range supports is they are super vulnerable. Early stages is CFO now swapping back to the top side. 30 seconds until the grubs spawn. They will be first to make the swap happen. So do have a bit of a pressure advantage. No TP for Rest, however, or Flandre.
Okay, Maokai with level 6 as well as Wukong, so we do start to worry about those punishment, jungle punishment plays, especially as we are only 5 seconds away from the Void Grub fight. Very impactful ultimates from each of them. And Kled is still bottom technically, but the ult can close a lot of distance, so could clear the wave, start walking up, and might still get here for the later grubs. But as of now, the first one is cleanly taken without smite by JunJia, so he still has smite to secure another one. Just Q smite that one, 2 for sure. 2 for sure, 3 for sure. Kled's not coming, Kled's not coming.
And that is CFO being first to that top wave, right? Getting pushed first. So Doggo and Kaiwing could move down first, as well as Shanks able to, Rest able to wander up. Now it looks like it might cost him a plate. Certainly did, but able to secure the objective without any blood. Able to get all 3, which has been pretty rare. Usually at least you have to give up 1. Now, looking at a small gold lead for AL, yes, but CFO maybe hoping to reap some of that back once they're able to get in range of those tower plates. Doggo completely unafraid. Level 7. Again, that time in the solo lane really working out well for him. And while Rest, the early gold lead, is slowly dwindling, he's still holding up okay against Flandre. Kael. Get a bit of damage down. Using the clone to scout out just to make sure that the dive isn't coming, but no one else is in the area. JunJia ready to go in. Root there. Doggo. JunJia going up. That's the tidal wave to zone off Hope. Hope immediately going to ult. Transcending. Now the Realm Warp coming in. First rotation coming in for Shanks. The follow-up knock up there to stop Shanks from getting any damage down onto Doggo. They are going to be able to walk away.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, pretty good from both sides, I'd say, because it was a good instant flash from Kael. If you don't flash the ulti and you even just the time that you're knocked up in the air, they burst you down. So right as he goes in, Kael, good flash to survive. Heal and flash used though, so it is going to be 2 summer spells for 2 Doggos, both of Doggos for both of Kael's. Actually as well as a teleport for Shanks used there in the end too.
Looks like Hope debating if he can actually recall. Likely has a bit of gold in his back pocket, but we'll need to stick around as Doggo is finally going to force that wave out. Crucially, Hope didn't burn any summoner spells, so should feel pretty comfortable in the next Drake fight. A minute 30 away from Hextech if AL want to contest it.
Okay, so Shanks, no teleport, no Realm Warp. So going to have to walk his way around Summoner's Rift like the rest of us. Just like the rest of us plebs, non-Ryze players. Meanwhile,
this is what
he usually.
What is your personal vendetta against globals and semi-globals? There's a Sion who's going to drive into a fight and a Kled who's going to mount. Kled doesn't walk at all.
Yeah, this is probably not the game.
We'll bring it up later.
Probably not the game to do that. Is going to be a convergence down here towards the bottom side though. Like the link up there between Kael and Tarzan once again. Those two, when AL were at their peak, it is about how great they work in tandem. Together, both for vision plays, controlling the map, and even ganking together. But looks like no further trade there.
Not quite yet. Kael resetting to the top side. It's the little Ryze icon at the top of your screen. Oh, Neeko, the bane of play-by-play casters. Now it was a reset as well from Hope to the bottom lane. Is going to get that first push out. So better overall setup around the Drake for the side of AL. Great vision, good push in the bottom lane, but CFO setting up a play on the top side. They want to punish Flandre. Kael is here to cover. We saw it last time. The difference in a tiny bit of courage might be all it takes for AL to hold on. 3v2.
Neeko in the bush.
Kael ready to cover. Trying desperately to clear the way. Flandre has to be careful not to take too much damage. If he gets demounted before the dive comes in, that would be the big threshold. So CFO play stymied on the top side of the map. In the meantime, furious pings going down onto this dragon. They recognize the window of opportunity. They've opened up for AL to take the second Drake of the game.
Yeah, good defense from AL. Keeping up with these swaps, good read from them, good defense, but looks like they're going to be contested.
Shanks zoning. Good damage, phase rush as well, just to stay at arm's reach. Tarzan taking his time, although the objective resetting. CFO going to be able to get mid-prio relatively quickly. Tarzan, again, one of the downsides of the Maokai is he really does not solo objectives well on his own. It takes a year. So Rest able to stop it at the very least.
And we're back to having Corki versus Kled topside. in the 1v1. Doggo again is one of the AD carries, really confident in that. Nami will soon join him, so Nami's going to apply the extra pressure here. Can they knock him off the mount again? A little bit more poke. Go for the tower plate.
More auto, a little bit of extra money for Doggo, get him closer to that initial Trinity Force power spike. And we saw in the previous game, Kanavi learned firsthand what happens when you walk face first into double Trinity Force. All of your health instantly disappears. Really only hope completing that initial item. And AO finally get the setup around Drake.
Yeah, you know, seeing the Nami finally join as well on top side, they're able to finish off the bottom side cross-map objective play for themselves. During the reset though, okay, this was a triple reset for the side of CFO. So JunJia as well as HongQ and Doggo all coming back with fresh purchases, and Wukong Trinity Force is one of the biggest spikes you can get in the game. Single item for that champ is massive.
Definitely is. We got Mandate for Kaiwing as well, so staying away from Redemption, instead opting for a bit more burst damage coming in these fights. Not quite how scary as it was in previous iterations, but still powerful addition to any damage output that they want to have. And sadly for Doggo, did just finally get the last stack on that Cole, so can really at any time go back and buy that Triforce, and he will just immediately do so. So this is a scary time to fight. If you are AL, Proto Belt not completed for Kael either. A little bit more pricey.
Honestly though, I mean, I feel kind of good for either side. It just depends on the engage. If you have good positioning for frontline, I feel like frontline is going to be massive here because of the nature of Kled and Maokai ultimates and how wide the variance on those can be for a team fight if they get blocked by a Sion or countered with Nami Wave. So we'll see about the setup for those team fights, and choosing the location, the terrain of your fight is just massive in this game as well because of them. Here we go.
Ulti in, tanking the tower. Shanks caught out. Decimating Smash not quite going to come through. Shanks, one more stack of the Cyclone as they start to spin right on top of him. Run warp there, but JunJia, crushing blow, just takes him down.
Beautiful surgical dive there from CFO on top side. Mid lane as well, the pressure, but...
Forced to ulti, but almost able to threaten the kill onto Doggo. Is forced to use the barrier in the end, but they get the heal out from Kaiwing too.
So nicely done from CFO. Even though your tower is traded on the bottom side, you make the early move, you get the kill there, and mid lane was able to apply a little bit of pressure as well, but still fairly even. Towers just traded. Very...
Oh, hold the thought. Doggo stepping up, massive damage on the Foss Bomb. Here comes HongQ. Tarzan's got nowhere to go. Twisted advance to get him out, a little bit extra healing, but HongQ snipes the kill.
Plus, I get the extra pick. While they're doing Rift Herald, they get the kill free. Here onto Tarzan. Tarzan, no flash either.
I mean, no ult for the Yunara. They just don't do enough damage. Kael forced to rocket belt out away from Doggo. CFO using these spikes beautifully. And I gotta say, they've just been a step ahead. CFO continue to impress.
Really, really nice kind of swipe there. Able to pick up the Maokai ultimates, kill the Maokai himself, get the Rift Herald. They can just rotate on over, reset with Rift Herald. That thing, the mid lane actually is going to be able to sustain through a Rift Herald charge, but you only need a tiny bit extra on top of it, and they will be able to bring, you know, Trinity Force empowered autos pretty quickly. So CFO in a pretty good spot here versus AL, who took down JunJia and HLE at the tournament. CFO, of course, their game versus T1 was just so well planned and executed.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people are really looking forward to this 2-0 matchup here.
Yeah, and again, CFO, a team that has been to every international. We've seen them improve. We get to watch, First and MSI getting better and better, and it feels like it's just continuing to see that growth here in Beijing. CFO need to be careful about the setup around this Drake. They are already 2 down. They cannot let AL get soul point.
And I want to shout out something in particular with the growth of the CFO team. HongQ, this guy is so young and has really just grown so much confidence. You saw in their game versus T1, he made a critical, well, we've got some tense
Kobe, you're not allowed to make
shadows.
Points. That's what we've learned. Every time you try to say stuff, they go for a fight.
If you remember back to their series versus T1, the Otacon fight, I really felt like HongQ's flash with Ryze to start it out onto Faker was like, it took so much confidence and was really the thing that kind of started the entire cascade of events for CFO, and I feel like HongQ has just really stepped up for this team. So much excitement for him ever since he was young, but it was like, okay, well, you know, is it actually going to turn into something you can count on the big international stage? And I really think he has delivered. Let's see if they can again in this game. You know, he has one of their 2 kills. The Aurora is just such a big champ here, and here we go. They get their damage on the tower, and the Riftail's going to finish it off.
CFO and HongQ pushing in the mid wave are going to finish it off. Opens up so much of the map for them. HongQ wandering in, hoping to catch out Hope. Kael off to the side. Ulti out from HongQ. Zoning away. Kael getting his flash before the big fight is going to be big, but here's the response.
Counter.
The charge now coming out. Ulti from Tarzan. They see a window of opportunity. Tidal wave response. Flandre into the back line. JunJia immediately backing up. Doggo for now untouched. Flandre zoned away. Forced to flash away from the bubble. Doggo stepping up. JunJia, the reset on the Cyclone just in time. Flandre's got him on a rope, but I don't think that's where he wants to be. HongQ with the follow. CFO take the fight.
CFO are flying high. That is everybody still alive. 4-4-0, and they own Summoner's Rift.
How many teams crumble in that moment when the immediate re-engage comes in from the opposition? CFO turn it right back, not scared whatsoever. Ulti for Kael's flash, knowing there's no return. HongQ, the tiniest bit of mana, 30, almost flawlessly calculated to get him through that fight. And CFO, they were in control, but they were behind on Drakes. Now they've just got everything going for them.
Yeah, HongQ starts it out. He forces the flash out of Kael first, early. Okay, we're actually going to start at the beginning here. We do get to see it. Proto Belt down for Kael, flash down for Kael. Then you worry a little bit with the counter engage of the Maokai ultimate, but HongQ's able to flash out. Kael's ultimate doesn't get anyone there. Just the clone on the front line, because he had no more mobility with Proto Belt or anything, and they're able to turn around. The counter engage. Rest is able to finish off Hope with the full chase. CFO did such a good job like kiting back there and then going for the re-engage.
Kiting back and making sure that their damage was hitting the same target consistently. Hope instantly down to 5% HP, could not auto anymore. The second he had to take a step back, they turned right onto Shanks, knowing that if they burst him down, he can't do anything either. And that is not the damage graph I expected to see. Credit to Maokai Ultimate and an AP build, but it's also not the damage graph that anyone's Legend ever wants to see.
And that's why you go attack these Neeko supports when you see them like that. I think that is a big part of it, really big credit, because they are such a squishy champion. And if you take away their mobility, when you burn the Proto Belt, burn the Flash, it makes it way harder to actually get a good engage. And we have seen the fairly ineffective LPL Neeko engages so far today.
And Kael is an excellent Neeko player. We've seen this man carry games in this tournament.
Yeah, he's having an exceptional tournament. His Neeko, you know, previous to this as well as the Poppy game, both insane from him, and that's why I credit HongQ with going to attack him. You know, you force out the flash, you force out the Proto Belt.
And again, heads up, we've seen this at MSI, we've seen this a lot in high-level League of Legends, but attacking the cooldowns, using your strength, not just when it comes to grouped up 5v5s, but actually using those strengths to get the little advantages ahead of those big fights.
Yeah, and then they had multiple other, you know, layers to go with. JunJia on the Wukong had, you know, the secondary engage for them, even when AL tried to turn it. And a really big team fight for CFO has resulted in 4.7 thousand gold lead for the Flying Oysters here in game number 1.
And HongQ very close to a Shadow Flame, aggressive itemization choice. Now we also have the 2-item spike coming in for Doggo. This is going to be a tough fight, even in terms of raw DPS for the side of AL. Otacon up, always an available option. Both sides were contesting Vision previously. Neither side really has any prio on top side, and it is still 2 minutes till the next Drake, so maybe a brief moment of calm. As you can see, Rest has made his home on the bottom side of the map, just trying to push out. Trading of waves back and forth.
All right, Otacon on the map too. This makes everybody happy. I mean, if you just like seeing some action. Now, CFO, again, I thought last time around, they had a really good Otacon setup versus T1. They're gonna pull it again. As soon as we start talking about it, control ward goes down. They start hitting the Otacon. Now, Tri-Brush, there you go. Tri-Brush is really critical, obviously, to control, and so Doggo himself comes over, plants down his control ward, and just acts as a turret here on the Corki.
And it's a good moment for Doggo because you can see if that was a Jarvan, if that was something else. Hold that thought, charge on the way in. Tarzan trying to bully his way forward. Doggo already used the cleanse, locked up for a moment. Flandre right into the back line, but Rest is here to respond. Doggo for now untouched. Flandre demounted and running. 5K on the Otacon. HongQ popping off with the ultimate. It's a tidal wave across the entire team fight, and he catches Kael. Crucially, but HongQ about to fall. Invisible for a moment, the side step. Otacon might finish him off. It's a roll more bid coming in for the meantime, and Shanks, but he's not quite sure where he wants to be. Shanks into the back line, but it's Shanks who goes into the tower and will fall. Otacon resetting. Tarzan and AL on the retreat, and it's CFO again making their mark on Summoner's Rift, finding the fight on the top side of the map as JunJia spins after Tarzan and takes down the AL jungler.
Exquisite League of Legends from CFO!
Otacon, an easy pickup now. A replay I cannot wait to see. Again, responding so well, the entire team ready to protect Doggo when Flandre forced his way into the fight. And AL once again behind the ball, behind the play. Close, but not able to finish out. It'll take a bit of time, but Otacon is theirs. The gold lead is theirs. The advantages just continue to grow.
Man, HongQ surviving on like, what, 50 HP or something? All right, let's take another look at it. They set up well, control ward in the tri-brush. Doggo here knows he has cleanse, so he can frontline versus Maokai. He chunks him. Then he Valks back to the rest of the team as they just knock up the Kled on the engage. Rest had a really nice answer ultimate, so they kite back, and HongQ says, I'm not letting that dismounted Kled get away. HongQ went in with the ulti, hops back out barely past the Otacon, waits for the Otacon spell there to go before him. Then a little bit of counterplay here from the side of AL. Shanks wants to go finish HongQ, but he's too deep. He can't get out of there inside the tower. And then it's just Hope and Tarzan left alive with the remnants of their team.
And again, CFO so good at capitalizing on the split-second decisions, these tiny moments. AL, it looks like they're all going at the same time. No, Shanks is a little bit further back, so they don't hesitate to dive in. Doggo knows that the damage from Tarzan and Kael on one flank isn't enough to kill him, so he is in the face of that Maokai at the start, laying down damage, and now it's starting to feel like AL, this one has just gotten away from them.
That's exactly it, Drakos. The coordination from CFO is much better than the coordination we're seeing from AL so far in this game. I mean, I also just love that HongQ goes for that kill to finish off the Kled. You know, Aurora, a burst champion, ults in, takes it to the other side. Helps for the clip that he lived in the end as well.
Yeah,
that was sick.
I mean, HongQ, sometimes you see Aurora and you don't entirely understand why this champion is so powerful and so high prio. This is not one of those games. This man is getting summoner spells left and right. It feels like his ulti is always off cooldown. For AL, I'm not quite sure how they're going to approach this Baron, but if they let it go, the game might just not have anything left for them.
Yeah. I also love, by the way, when my AD carry will have summoner spells and use them intentionally in a way to get out spells from your opponents. So Doggo, in that one, he's positioned really aggressively. He chunks the Maokai, knowing I've got the safety of my cleanse, so I can play super aggressively. And yes, I'm using a defensive summoner spell, but my defensive summoner spell allows me to position super aggressively and then still get away with it. Because then when the Kled ults in on him, he Valks back to the rest of the team that is over back behind the Otacon and kind of draws the Kled into the bad spot, and the team is then able to peel around the Corki for him. And it really was very good to see here from CFO. Really fun to watch. Let's see if they can do similar things around the Baron. They have been able to catch up now with the Dragons, both Dragons to CFO's name here, picking up both of the Ocean Ones. And 6,000 now, the gold lead.
Yeah, and Flash is available for the entire top side of CFO. Still a bit of time for Kaiwing and Doggo, but also for Hope. Kael, again, a player we've paid so much attention to, has been limited in this game. It is always him getting caught out as CFO using so many of their cooldowns to make sure that he cannot play the fights. Might be a different case as we get closer to the next major objective. It's still Baron, but JunJia not afraid to push in a bit on the bottom side, try to protect Rest, make sure he can get that extra wave.
All right, CFO, good macro, push in all 3 lanes, 1-3-1 split push. They've got the rotation possibilities from the Sion through the jungle here. Rest kind of hovering after pushing that lane. And the rest of the squad goes to set up around the Baron. Their turn is pretty good.
HongQ
off of
waiting.
Baron.
Vision over the wall already. Doggo steps up into the bush to cover as well. The second the control ward comes down. Does need to be a bit careful, but
cleanses back up.
Confident that he can just Valk back, and you see Wave pushing in on the bottom side. CFO really don't want to over push.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Doggo moves in, pushes the team out, clearing the ward while the rest of the CFO are starting the objective back up again. HongQ threatening the flank, hovering there on the top side too. Their bot lane has been pushed all the way back though, so they do kind of want to take care of that. So Sion's got a couple extra waves he's going to have to work with to re-push there for rest on the bottom side. So they relent on their Baron pressure for now.
No greater advantage traded here. Obviously the ideal scenario is you get Baron, but after that you're playing for smaller cooldowns. A TP perhaps from a side laner who needs to come, make sure that they have the tools in the 5v5. CFO not quite strong enough, not quite enough threat on the Baron to force that TP out. Flandre was able to just back and be where he needed to be, as now we see the reset from Rest, moving back into mid lane. Another attempt from CFO to at least get some vision down to contest what AL have laid.
Okay, I'm curious. Chat, and be honest, how many of you predicted CFO to win Worlds? Be honest. I want to see how many actually predicted them before seeing this, before seeing what they've been able to do so far. Because it's just looking so good. What? After their game over T1, obviously I'm not going to say, yeah, wow, they're going to be world champs now, but CFO are certainly impressing.
But you'll imply that they're front runners. And honestly, again, I think that you can cast, like these 2-0s, you're in a Swiss situation. You can get favorable draws. And CFO, they beat T1. First match was favorable, right? It was a pretty easy match for them. This match is supposed to be incredibly hard, but they are making it look easy against AL, who've been, alongside them, the best performing team in Swiss. Kael, Shanks, Tarzan in the area, ready to cover. Hope 3 items. Has access to the ulti. CFO committed to this objective. Hope's ulti is going to be a big cooldown to keep track of. 6K, objective getting lower. Tarzan ready with the flash to go over the wall. Rest zoning on the side. That's a TP, and HongQ immediately going to kick the fight off. Hope immediately going to ult, but HongQ manages to find a way out. Tidal wave for the disengage. Shanks now going golden. Kael now going in, manages to find the pop blossom, but it's just not enough damage. But Hope remains untouched, crucially. However, they just cannot find a kill. Pushback coming in. CFO holding the line, forcing AL away from the objective, but the worm still stands.
Ooh, these clones from both sides providing the escapes here.
HongQ?
So no. Stops the recalls, dismounts the Kled.
Ooh. This is continuing to step up. Tarzan is incredibly low. They can just force this. They know that Tarzan needs to reset, but do they feel like they have the damage to burst this down quick enough? The answer is yes.
They feel like it, but is it true? Ryze has Realm Warp. Ryze has Realm Warp. He could Realm Warp his team closer.
CFO betting a ton on this play. Kael still waiting off to the side. They know almost all of the ultis are missing. Flandre has his, as does
Maokai
Shanks.
Q-Smite!
Maokai Q-Smite! Tarzan gets it! Flawless read, Kobe's the fight now breaks out. Flandre off to the side. Rest isolated, but JunJia is still standing. AL got the worm now. They need to get to the fight. Hope continuing to step forward. CFO forced back. They thought they had the damage, but the math was wrong. Flandre in the midst of the entire team, ready to demount, continuing to go, finding a hell of a lot of courage now in this late game fight, because it's Hope and AL. Realm warped into the back line, but Rest says we're gonna get something back.
There's only one survivor for AL. It's Shanks, and HongQ
goes in, takes him down.
They wipe every Baron buff off of Summoner's Rift, but still, Drakos, I will say something I've said a lot of times. Don't try and smite fight at Maokai.
Nope, Q-Smite good.
That Q does a lot of damage. Tarzan's able to steal the Baron, but CFO have stolen our hearts. They get all of the kills onto AL.
I mean, I agree. They got all the kills. They wiped this Red Bull Baron power play. Is going to look a little bit pitiful. But you can see this is the confidence they thought they had it, but here comes Tarzan.
Yeah, okay, so Maokai, Q has such a, I mean, the jungle damage modifier on this thing is so big. Q flash smite, really good from Tarzan to steal it. But you see, Doggo immediately killed Kael on the top side, and they punish Tarzan for his steal immediately. So they've got the numbers advantage. Then AL chasing forward, and CFO kind of kiting back behind this control ward. The Nami ultimate delays the damage follow-up. So Flandre is in there pretty much by himself until the Realm Warp comes through, and even though Doggo gets taken down, he does a lot of burst damage, enough so that Rest can then finish off the kill by flashing forward. And then Shanks tries to teleport out because he sees the teleport, look at the minimap, closing his exit from the other side. And so he knew Rest was going to teleport up above him, so he tried to teleport out, and HongQ just finishes.
Yeah, and Flandre's so close to remounting, but HongQ having just enough damage to deny it. Hope into the backline, but didn't have access to the ulti, which means he didn't have the extra dashes. He couldn't outspace the Sion. A game of inches in that fight, but CFO, soul point, triple oceans already. Hope is getting stronger and stronger. Armor pen there. Shanks needs to finish that Zhonya's. Already used the Seekers in a previous fight. Despite them getting the Baron, it does just alleviate some of the gold. It doesn't put AL in a commanding state. They're still down in Otacon. All the grubs, all the Drakes. CFO in a dominant position, but AL found one way back in. Perhaps they can find another.
And that's why this is so impressive, because CFO are doing it versus AL here. AL are having such a good tournament. You know, taking down JunJia, huge. Taking down HLE, looking so good. And let's see if AL can actually bring this one back for the LPL, because currently the fans in the stadium not too happy.
And I think I can understand why. Because AL are the team, again, as you highlighted, they beat HLE, they beat JunJia. It felt like this is the new generation. This is the new team you can rally behind when so many other organizations have fallen flat. But CFO looking to do the same for the LCP. Looking to make history here. 10 years since the LCP, now the LMS then, made it to top 8. They made 2 teams back then. HongQ eSports Club, the Flash Wolves.
Yeah.
It was never a question. After that, there was a huge fall off. So many players ended up going to the LPL. But now, the resurgence, the level of this team, undeniable.
I would venture to say as well.
Let's do
of course,
bold statements.
This is also just the first game of the series, by the way.
Bold statements.
This doesn't guarantee anything for
Hyperbole.
CFO. Even if CFO can finish this one, obviously we've got the rest of the best of 3 to play. But I would venture to say that extremely few people coming into the tournament would have predicted CFO and KT to be the first 2 teams through to the quarterfinals for sure. But let's take a look at the finish of this game. They're doing it once again, methodically, move up their vision through the jungle. JunJia is okay because he still has his clone, so he's able to get back over the wall after the Krugs, but they're setting up their vision leading over to the Baron. Again, we need to point out the Realm Warp possibilities for AL. This ability in combination with Neeko can provide you with such crazy engages. If you fire off a Maokai ultimate from one side and you Realm Warp the Neeko in on top of their heads, you can get a crazy explosive engage. AL still have the possibilities in this game to turn it around.
Something CFO is respecting. The second they get that bot lane push, Rest is TPing up to join them. 5-man press into the AL jungle. Both sides very aware of those choke points. Not wanting to give an angle for any of the AoE. The clone comes out, all of CFO back up. They give that respect over to Kael, over to the Neeko. Ulti from HongQ.
AL gets the red buff. Post 25 minutes, it is actually such a big buff that that is a real objective you're fighting over nowadays, because it goes on to every single member. So red buff secured there for AL. Nicely done.
As well as getting the ulti out of HongQ. 25 seconds still Baron, likely won't have the cooldown up and available. 3 items for HongQ, all aggressive options. Has not died yet, not a single defensive item in sight.
Yeah, very big burst damage on this Aurora. You have to be insanely careful about your positioning. AL are gonna have to ward all of their flanks, and even then it's still hard to track and mark the Aurora, but they're gonna have to do it. So now we get the fun time, Drakos, because Dragon's Soul is only 45 seconds away. That with Baron both being on the map opens up all of these plays for CFO where they can try and force AL into the bad engage themselves.
Good position to be in. And I think for CFO, the early dominance they had in this game is really paying dividends because the mid lane tower is still up. It's so hard for AL to find any flank angles of their own. So hard to get that creative Maokai angle that you mentioned earlier. So both sides just continue to poke. Doggo still walking forward with a lot of confidence, but has to give a little bit more respect as ulti now coming in for Flandre. Immediate TP coming on the backside. That's HongQ on the way to the fight. He does have the ulti up and available. Tidal wave going in. HongQ coming back. Ulti just in time. Wants to take down Shanks, but doesn't quite have the hard CC. Shanks manages to make it out. The rest keeps driving forward as hope falls. Tarzan and Kael on the backline, but all of the damage is gone. Tarzan will not be enough. Kael finally finds the engage, but it's too little. It's too late because it's JunJia moving in the whirlwind there. AL crumbling. Flandre comes back into the fight just in time to watch AL fall to pieces. The Quadra coming in for Doggo. CFO dominate game one.
The Oysters look exceptional today. CFO are going to march on the Nexus Towers.
And it's going to take a second because there's no way.
The minions are going to follow shortly.
But it's 12 seconds to Kael, it's 23 seconds to Hope. It's not enough. CFO moved better around the map, fought better, out-executed. 5-0-11 for HongQ, Quadra for Doggo. Kael is not enough. CFO take the first win.
20-5. CFO. Huge start to the series for them.
Incredible start. Let's send it over to the AD. What did you guys think of that one? Were you impressed?
I think it's a very sad day for the LPL so far, but wow! CFO coming in clutch here in game one. They had to work for it. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of trials. It took a lot of moves on the map, I want to say. But in the end, they take game one.